Okay, so if you've been anywhere near the AI space lately, you've probably seen this acronym floating around, MCP. That's Model Context Protocol. Today, we're going to demystify it, what it is, why it's such a game changer, and how it actually works. All right, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the big problem that makes AI tools so difficult to build. Then we'll see how MCP is a universal standard to fix that. We'll look under the hood at how it works, see a real example, and finally, dream a little about what this means for the future. All right, section 1. So, have you ever wondered why our AI assistants, for all their supposed brain power, feel so, well, limited? Why can't they just do things for you in the real world? Yeah, it really boils down to this super simple but honestly really frustrating question. You've got this incredibly powerful AI, right? But it can't even check the weather for you or look at your calendar? What's up with that? This gets right to the core of the problem. Well, here's the thing. By themselves, large language models are kind of like these brilliant brains just floating in a jar. They're absolutely amazing at understanding and generating language, but that's where it stops. They are fundamentally disconnected. They can't access live, real-time data, and they can't perform actions. They're just cut off. So before something like MCP came along, trying to connect an AI to real-world tools was an absolute nightmare. I mean, look at this. It was this tangled, fragile mess of custom code for every single tool. You add a new tool, you have to build a whole new connection from scratch. And that led to some massive challenges. I mean, think about it. Every single tool needed its own code. Trying to scale that up to dozens or even hundreds of tools? Totally unmanageable. And the worst part? If a tool's developer changed their API just a little bit, poof, your integration would just break. It was a developer's nightmare, for real. And honestly, this complexity is a huge reason we don't all have our own personal Jarvis right now. Okay, so to clean up that absolute mess, the industry realized it needed a standard, a common ground, which brings us to MCP, what you could call the one port to rule them all. And that's exactly what MCP is. It's an open protocol, basically a set of rules, that standardizes how AI models and applications talk to all those external tools and data sources. It's a common language that everyone can finally agree on. You know, the perfect analogy here is USB-C. Remember the bad old days? Every single phone, every camera had its own proprietary charger. It was a total disaster. MCP is literally the USB-C port for AI. It's one standard connector for any tool. If your tool speaks MCP, any AI that also speaks MCP can use it instantly. No fuss. But how does this whole USB-C for AI thing actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a quick look. It's actually a lot less complicated than you might think. Okay, it really just comes down to three main pieces. First, you've got the MCP host or client. That's the AI app you're actually using. Then on the other end, you have the MCP server, which is a little program that makes a tool available. And connecting them? That's the MCP protocol itself, the rules of the road for how they talk. Now, this is a really, really important point. With MCP, the responsibility for building that connection, that adapter, shifts. It's no longer on the AI developer. Now the people who actually make the tool, the weather service, the database company, they're the ones responsible for building their own MCP server. This is huge because it puts the work in the hands of the experts who know their own tools best. So let's walk through the whole conversation. Step 1, you ask the AI a question. But before answering, the AI app asks the server, hey, what can you do? This cool step is called reflection. The server sends back its list of tools. Then the app sends your question plus that list of tools to the large language model. The LLM looks at the list and intelligently says, aha, I need that tool for this job. The tool runs, gets a result, and feeds that new info back to the LLM as fresh context. And then the LLM uses all of that to give you a final, super informed answer. Pretty smart, right?
Okay, that all sounds great on paper, but let's get our hands dirty. What does this look like in actual code? Let's check it out. It's way simpler than you'd probably guess.
So here's a little Python snippet. To turn a regular function into a tool the AI can use, a developer just adds this one line here, this @mcp.tool thing. It's called a decorator. That's it. But the real magic isn't the code itself. It's how the AI figures out what it's for. And that comes from this simple description right here.
And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. The AI doesn't actually read or understand all that complicated Python code inside the function. No way. It only reads this little description written in plain English, what's called a docstring. It sees get weather forecast for a location, and it sees the arguments it needs. And that's how the LLM makes the smart choice to use this tool. It's not an exaggeration to say it's practically magic.
And hooking this tool up to an AI app? Just as easy. You basically just edit a simple configuration file. You give your server a name, you tell the app how to run it and what script to use, that's it. No more writing pages and pages of complex, custom integration code. It's just done.
So, we've covered the why, the what, and the how. But let's zoom out. What does all of this mean for the future of AI? Why should we all care about some protocol?
Well, the impact is massive. First, MCP unlocks what people call agentic workflows. That's where an AI can actually plan and execute complex, multi-step tasks on its own. It also creates a true plug-and-play ecosystem. Think of it like an app store for AI tools. This is going to accelerate innovation like crazy because developers can stop wasting time on boring integrations and start building amazing new things. And this doesn't replace frameworks like LangChain. It actually gives them a solid standard to build. And all this leaves us with one final, really powerful question that kind of reshapes what's possible. What are we all going to build when any AI can connect to any tool instantly and securely? The era of the truly capable Jarvis-level assistant, well, it just got a whole lot closer. So what will you build with it?